Welcome back, YouTubers, to another Q&A 204 with us, the British Fist.
Gotcha.
Do you ever hear how many years you've taken off my knuckles every time you've done that, MJ?
Oh, you've been hurting my hand.
So I was going to say none because that doesn't hurt what you do, but you just flew right into my trap. Ha 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 ha! I'm Mr. Parkin. This is MJ.
What's up?
What's up, indeed? If you have any further questions you'd like to ask us, well, you know where to put them. I say it every bloody week in that comment section. That's the one. Yeah, sorry. Just brain freeze there. Anything else you want to say to the YouTubers?
Just keep sending your questions because without you, we die. You murderers.
Because we don't have any questions.
You're already kidding, Mr. Parkin. Not right, people. More questions, please.
To be honest with you, NJ, it would take more than a lack of questions to kill me. Renegade Man 83. In your opinion, why does WWE have a 90-day no-compete clause when they release wrestlers, but they claim they have no competition? It's very interesting. I think WWE just want to make sure that the wrestlers that do leave WWE don't try and capitalize on their name power just when they leave the company, which can help affect positively other businesses which they could potentially go to. It's a little bit petty, but they've just put it in there, I believe, to protect their own brand.
My opinions are similar but different. I think they do it to, one, keep wrestlers in their company. Like, if we leave, I can't wrestle again for 90 days. So let's just stay with the WWE. Reason two, I think it's because compare TNA wrestlers to WWE. When they leave WWE, TNA makes them stars. We're thinking, no, we're not allowing TNA to make our wrestlers stars by joining their company. No.
The really silly thing is, I don't really think a 90-day no-complete clause really affects it all that much. I mean, 90 days is 3 months. Oh dear. You know, it doesn't really matter. I mean, but it is, I must admit, the question the Renegade Man 83 asked is a very good one in the sense that why do that when they claim they have no competition? Although the competition they claim to have isn't other wrestling companies, it's other TV shows.
Well, again, I think no competitions are true, but at the same time, like we've said this in past Q&As, when wrestlers leave the WWE and go to TNA do a lot better with them.
Also, though, do they make them less household names, if you know what I mean? Like WWE, they were known, but as soon as they go to TNA, yeah, they treat them a little bit better, but do less people know of them because they're now in TNA and people don't know about TNA as much?
Well, fans don't follow WWE to TNA. Maybe the odd some do, but I think, in my opinion, like maybe people don't know of Bully Ray, but they know of Bubba Ray. Mr. Anderson. Again, I just think that maybe fans are not aware of their character name or name change, but I just think TNA have done better for them, and I think that's what counts to the wrestler involved.
But back to my original point that I made, I think that it's more of a fault of TNA's marketing that enables them to take these guys from WWE and not further enhance their company as a result. I mean, we both said that about TNA many times. Yeah. It's one of their very, very big flaws, which hopefully Billy Corgan will help to get rid of when he's in TNA. What would the pros and cons of Samoa Joe signing with WWE be?
Last Q&A we answered.
I believe we answered a lot of questions with Samoa Joe. Right, the pros I think are very easy. I think they have a guy that knows the business, has kind of been there, done that. Yeah, it's been in TNA, but he's still done a lot in the business. I think also he'd be a very good trainer in NXT. So even though he's, the con of Samoa Joe is he's aging a little bit and he's getting older, and you can't really push him as a big star, but he does bring his experience down. I think he'll be a very good asset to NXT. And as we've said in previous Q&As, just because you're in NXT, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing for Samoa Joe.
No, I think he's a fresh, big guy compared to Big Show, Mark Henry, Kane. He's a fresh, big guy that, yes, he's aging, but he's still fresh and someone that we know is respected for who he is and what he brings to his matches, to the company. And I think when fans, probably new fans who don't watch TNA, see him in WWE will feel the same.
I was going to say exactly that. If you're a fan of WWE and never seen Samoa Joe before, to them it's going to be a totally new wrestler. isn't it? Really. Paul Erickson. Oh,
cons.
Oh, cons. Yeah, we forgot about cons. My con again would be the age factor and the fact they couldn't really do all that much with him as a 36-year-old, I believe.
That's one big one. A con for me is like we were just building up. Is the fact that fans that don't know the WWE know who he is, but the fans that don't, he's going to come in like a big deal for the WWE. But to fans, they'll be like, "Oh, he's a big guy," but they're not really going to know who this guy is. They're not going to show you TNA video packages to prove who he is.
And to be honest with you, with the fact that he's been with TNA, do you really think that that will hinder WWE in the way that they would push him? Because generally, guys that have come from TNA that WWE haven't made, they don't push one bit, and you don't really get much out of them.
Maybe it's maybe that's TNA factor, but like ROH wrestler being either Punk, Bryan, or Kevin Owens.
But WWE have still, to a certain degree, made them. They've made them Seth Rollins to the casual viewer. They've made them CM Punk. I mean, he was already CM Punk in ROH, but because of the platform WWE give him, you could argue that maybe WWE in a way did make CM Punk, because if he was around ROH, he would nowhere near be as big of a name, and he definitely wouldn't have been able to do what he did last year, and pretty much retire from pro wrestling as a pretty multi-millionaire.
And I don't think they're going to do much to benefit Samoa Joe, but at least Samoa Joe's made it to the WWE, and I think that they're not going to show TNA video packages, but I think the respect, the knowledge will come from what he provides.
You could also have fresh booking from a character perspective. I suppose my one con with Samoa Joe would be one is weight. He's very inconsistent with his weight as well, and his motivation goes through phases where he's motivated and when he's not. And if he's down in the dumps with WWE, is he still going to be motivated to try and get to the top? Well, that's a big factor in Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on because we spent about 7 minutes on 2 questions. Yes, a new detailed version, a new CC Network version of the British Fist, where we spend minutes and minutes detailing everything we see. Shout out there to Freddie Thomas.
That'll save our questions building up.
Yeah, Paul Erickson Alejandrino, because we're the only people that could pronounce that name right, apparently. That means all those Spanish lessons paid off for me. What is your reaction on the Give Divas a Chance, and do you think the WWE will ever push the Divas just like Lita and Trish era?
I want to say so, please.
Yeah, you said enough in the last few Q&As about it.
Thank you very much.
What?
I get a lot of bad mouth for when stuff like this happens. It's getting praised. Finally, the Vince McMahon is listening to the fans. Bullshit. It's gone. It's finished. They may start, they're getting tag matches each week. Oh, that's giving them a chance. There's 2 Divas matches on the Raw. Oh, that's giving them a chance. No, I really don't think this hashtag or them possibly bringing some NXT divas is going to benefit in any way. Sorry, I don't think this give it a chance is anything that we should be praising.
Bottom line is, there's not going to be another Lita and Trish era, unfortunately. You just, you had AJ Lee, who, you could argue was kind of a big name in the Divas division, but at the end of the day, she was winning the title all the time, and, you do that, you need to have 5 or 6 real big Diva stars in order to really make that division into what, this whole Give Divas, and I'm sorry, but giving the Divas 5 minutes for a match, that's not Give Divas a chance. That's give Divas a chance enough to shut you guys up, while also not putting them out there enough time to take up too much TV time.
The last time I say give Divas a chance may be either Beth Phoenix or Mickie James. I'll go that far back. Maybe Lay Call possibly. But recently, they're giving Naomi a chance to become champion. No, that's just because they've had every other Diva become champion apart from her. It's going to be a few month title run and then they'll be back at square one.
What are your thoughts on the mini feud between Kevin Owens and Alex Riley? I thought it was, I thought they built up pretty well. I think my only issue with it is that I wonder what this is going to do for Alex Riley. Now, I know Kevin Owens is supposed to be the main beneficiary of this feud, and, rightfully so, he's the NXT champion. And I thought this would be a great way to get Alex Riley back on TV as a wrestler, as I think we feel he should be. But I just wonder whether this feud will benefit him in any way. And it seems like the way they're going down the road with him on NXT, that it just seems like this is they're not really going to do much of him afterwards. That's my only real downside to this.
I find this quite sad. If you want to bring back Alex Riley to wrestling. You don't beat him against someone you want to push to the roof. Because, yeah, he may look good against him in some promos in the odd match. But if he's not going to come out looking like a guy they're going to be taken seriously, I think Kevin Owens was a bad start by Alex Riley.
I mean, it started him at the top, but it didn't really give him enough of a platform to really showcase himself. Now, he was in the main event of NXT. You know, that's good. Okay, fair enough. But at the end of the day, I don't really think he got too much out of the feud with Kevin Owens. In the end, I think people were cheering Kevin Owens more than they were for Alex Riley, which, you know, Kevin Owens is supposed to be the fucking heel. So anyway, let's move on. RFV 089. To a certain extent, is it sad that when you look at the history of pro wrestling, that so many guys who contributed a ton to the business have died so young? For example, Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, and Andre the Giant. Yes, it is incredibly saddening when you see so many prominent figures and big names, not just in wrestling business, but in the household names such as Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, and Andre the Giant, etc. It's really sad, but it's funny that it's, well, not funny, but it is. You know, when you go back and look at certain WrestleManias, like WrestleMania 1, and 75% of the people performing there have died. You know, it's amazing to see stuff like that. You look at like that wrestler, and now it's amazing that these wrestlers stay alive. You look at guys like Sting, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Triple H, which we're going to in a minute. It's amazing under the conditions that they've stayed alive, considering the track record of many main wrestlers. That's mainly down to how the drugs, and mainly down to the fact they never really get an off season, and the fact that they're driven, they're really driven by Vince McMahon, because at the end of the day they all want to be the top man.
As much as there's this whole thing about Vince McMahon either looking after his wrestlers or not looking after them, I find this a little bit sad, because right now in this day and age we're hearing about injuries that lead to death, and WWE getting sued and all this horrible stuff. But yeah, we could talk about how the wrestlers are being looked after, but not being looked after, the death coming into play. I do find it sad how big names are meant to be getting looked after, but get these injuries, they get there, and then WWE gets sued.
That is unfortunate. I think the reason why people sue WWE is because they simply just want a payday. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Like, you look at, you look at Viscera's, wife sued the WWE, and it's just like, well, the guy, Viscera was very overweight, and he was going to die at some point, and it just looks like she's looking for a payday. It's really all it seems like to me. Nothing personal. I don't know the woman. That's just what it seems like to me.
I think the amount of times I've been on like No DQ and stuff and seen this family suing the WWE, it keeps happening. Yeah, No DQ. Give us something in return for that. Give us control of your website for a week. But the amount of times they're getting sued because of dead wrestlers that died probably years back, and it's all because they feel the WWE make them work too hard, or that's why obviously the PG was pushed quite strongly, and I can see why. But all this suing coming now, it just makes this question sad.
Yeah, and I think we are still allowed to put content on DQ. We just don't bother because it doesn't really get us any views. So what's the point? DQ. Just like TNA Asylum, really. What are your thoughts on Rey Mysterio leaving WWE?
Thank God!
It was about time, wasn't it? Because to be honest with you, why would you push a guy, even if he is a big name, when he consistently gets injured? You push this guy, and then all of a sudden he gets injured, and then all that work you've been doing pushing him is just kind of goes to waste. So I heard in the news that it was amicable. Rey Mysterio wanted to leave WWE, initially kept him around for another year, and then they granted his release. My thoughts are, good luck, Rey Mysterio, for whatever you're going to do in the future, because he has done some good business for the WWE.
The reason I got so excited about this is because Rey Mysterio weren't always a favourite, but he did do some good things. He did put on some matches. He did do merchandise stuff. But it come to a point where he had done everything. He had a lot of time off due to injury. They brought him back. Yes, it was partly Sin Cara's fault why Rey Mysterio's run didn't go in the direction it should have gone for WrestleMania. But I think when that didn't work out, Rey Mysterio should have just finished there. I'm sorry, but the fact it's happened, I think Rey Mysterio should now just retire.
I'm going to list a couple of wrestlers, and I want you to say whether you think they rank within the 10 greatest pro wrestlers of all time. You've got Sting, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and Triple H.
One at a time. Yeah.
I just want to look at this a little bit differently. I think that Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels will be regarded they will be like top 5 in my opinion. True. That's because I feel like Undertaker. I definitely think Undertaker will be top 10. I
True.
definitely think Sting will be top 10. I don't think any of them will beat Hogan or Stone Cold or The Rock.
True.
But they're still top 10. Triple H, I think, would just about make the top 10. He wasn't, but listen to me here, NJ. I know he's a big part of the WWE right now. It's probably going to be partially owning the WWE in the future, but not at real one point in time was he like the main guy for WWE. In the Attitude Era, it was all about Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was all about The Rock. You had the Ruthless Aggression Era, which is mainly about Brock Lesnar. That kind of defined the Ruthless Aggression Era. And then you had the PG Era, which was pretty much valued by John Cena, Batista, people like that. So I don't ever think. I think the reason why is because Triple H never really, while he was a top guy, was never the guy.
I think the Ruthless Aggression right at that time, he was being
multiple
world champion,
massive, but he was never the top guy.
But he was the world champion that people had to obviously go up against. He was like the guy that
he was the top heel.
Top heel.
Never top baby face.
Not face, no. He wouldn't work as a face. But I do think he, not like of all time, I think H, if it was for the greatest world champion of all time, he'll be there. But as of a pro wrestler, Triple H fan, yes, but I don't think he'd be in this list here in the top set.
No. And that's no disrespect to Triple H. We're seeing top 10 greatest pro wrestlers of all time. There's so many. I mean, you could put Bruno Sammartino in there. You've got Ultimate Warrior. You've got Randy Savage. You've got so many people like that could get in the top 10 purely based because they're just fantastic pro wrestlers. RF 13. If you make any stable, who would you put in it, and how would you break them up down the line?
Stable.
I don't really. I mean, people have been toying with the idea of like a British stable, but I don't think that would work. I think, to be honest with you, right now, I wouldn't really want to make a stable because we've had so many stables lately, and how many of them have worked out for the WWE apart from the Shield?
I think stables has been overdone just because they've seen how great they've worked with like Nexus and thought, oh, let's see if it can work again this time. If I was to make one, I'd really concentrate on the wrestlers who have in the past had a push, but it's failed, and you need to rebuild them back up. So it would be the likes of a Dolph Ziggler, possibly Barrett again, possibly a Damien Sandow, maybe all the Miz, just wrestlers who you possibly want to see be rebuilt back up. So why not combine them all to get them proper TV time, rebuilt back up, and a reason to be on TV again?
I'd rather put them in the tag team division. That's why I wouldn't make a stable. I just want them at tag teams. I think we could do with some right now, especially when one of the Usos is injured. Especially now Miz and Sandow are broken up. You kind of need them right now. So anything like that, let's make some tag. I mean, Cesaro and Kid is a good example of two guys thrown together that have made a pretty decent tag team.
They have, yeah.
Robert Hernandez. What was the thing that got you into wrestling? Go.
Okay, one simple word.
Triple H.
The heelness of him and the way he won his matches, the way he would step on people's heads and they'd have to fight back against him. The heels in general, but Triple H, yes.
What got me into wrestling? Okay, firstly, I was around about in primary school when the Attitude Era came around, and I remember that a lot of us were talking about, we weren't able to watch it, but we were talking a lot about Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and I was a massive Rock fan when I was a kid. I used to be the only one that could do the fucking eyebrow thing back in school. There you go, doing it. And I think what initially got me into wrestling was the characters and the kind of drama of wrestling. And then I went out of my way to watch Royal Rumble 2000 and watched Triple H Cactus Jack, and then watched The Rock win the Royal Rumble. And then I was a fan. Of course, my fandom has been tested a lot. I don't watch WWE all that much anymore. I still watch NXT, but that's what initially sparked the flame that is a WWE fandom for me.
And the sadness of that, as much as it's not related to your question, we've said what got us into it. What has got us out of it is what's going on right now.
Yeah, and also not to mention that, but also the fact that I think that when we were kind of in the prime of doing YouTube videos, it was fun, watching Raw every week, and we got quite a decent amount of money from it as well, which was also a helping factor. What is that? The first time we've ever mentioned that on here? Oh, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And also, it was fun to do, but over time, just like I guess in the wrestling business, over time you can't, keep consistently doing. It's like being a writer in WWE. You got all these great ideas for a year, and then after that, you just think, oh, what's the point? My ideas aren't getting through anymore. So what is the point? You kind of lose your motivation for it. And that is exactly what's happened. I mean, we used to do Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, TNA reviews, ROH reviews. I did NXT reviews. We used to do Q&As, topical videos, skits. I used to do like 5-6 videos a week on my channel, including that old Guest the Superstar series I did, which I love doing. In the end of the day, I think we were doing I was doing 13 videos a week. Now that really does drain you, and after a while, I just really lost my passion for it, which probably led to me losing my passion for watching wrestling, especially due to the fact that it was always on so late at night, and Raw became 3 hours, and just so much started happening where I was just like, I don't need to watch this anymore.
And as well as that, I don't think the WWE can do what we said that got us into it. They can't repeat what got us into it. So to be honest, we're having to face the fact we're not going to be in that frame of mind again.
It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. And I think that more people should wise up to the fact, especially here in the YWC, that maybe it just isn't for them anymore. And rather than bitching all the time about it, just do what, for example, I did. I know you sometimes still watch Raw and maybe SmackDown, I don't know, and pay-per-views, but just do the right thing and stop watching it. It will really help your receding bald spots on your head. Trust me.
And I know in the YWC, people are saying, "Oh, but I love hearing this person see how they're going to rip this show apart." But to be honest, the person who's doing these videos to entertain you is putting themselves through 3 hours of stuff that's not really making them jump for joy.
Yeah, and really on that note, we were going to end the Q&A.
Yep.
Yeah, lovely positive note to end the video. Hey, yeah, let's do this. So if you have any questions, once again, even though we're spending a ton of time on most questions right now, it seems like we're really going all Freddie Thomas on our questions right now. So if you have any questions, put them in the comment section below, please.
And like we said at the very beginning, because I like to rehash what we said at the beginning, please don't kill us. Please continue sending your questions. Keep us going. Keep us entertaining you, because I'm sure we get a few giggles out of you people out there, male or female. But thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.